without taking much of your time, I would want to introduce my colleague who will be chairing this webinar, Professor Glenda Davison, who is the head of the Biomedical Sciences Department at Cape Peninsula University of Technology. She will she will be chairing the session, and we will take it from there. And also, before she does, just take over, I just want to open in a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we just want to thank you for this opportunity to share on the career opportunities in medical laboratory profession. And we pray that whoever comes across this webinar, this talk, even the days after, will be inspired to want to help others, to want to be involved in the profession, and to uphold the highest standard in the profession. We thank you for all who have been able to join us and for all who have been able to make this possible. We thank you. Amen. I just want to hand over to Glenda, who will take over and who will chair the session from now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mashangura, Ian. This is such a special week because it is Laboratory Professions Week. And it's so weird to me because being a laboratory professional, we've always been in the back room. We're always the profession that does a huge amount of work and contributes so much to the clinical diagnosis and monitoring of patients, but we largely unknown, and yet we carry on doing that work to the best of our ability. And I think the coronavirus pandemic has really highlighted the fantastic work that all laboratory professionals do. And so this webinar in particular, I think, focuses on our careers, our academic opportunities, and continuing professional development, which I think is so important for us to continue the role we do, but also to go out there to the world and tell the world what happens in the laboratory, what important work every laboratory professional does. And so I'd like to open this webinar and wish everybody luck today, and I hope that we have a very, very fruitful discussion about our profession and way forward. I don't know if Prof. Erasmus is here, Ian, because I think he's on the program to do a brief introduction.
Is he he's not yet in. I'll do the introductions. It's all right. I'll do it on his behalf.
For him. Okay. So I'm certainly not going to keep up much of your time. And so then we'll hand over back to Dr. Mashangura just to do the introductions before I take over again and tell you how the morning is going to proceed. So again, welcome everybody, and I open this webinar, and it's over to you, Dr. Ian.
Thank you very much, Glenda. I just want to acknowledge the working together of universities in Africa, in particular the University of Zimbabwe, Department of Laboratory Diagnostic and Investigative Sciences, Cape Peninsula University of Technology, Department of Biomedical Sciences, Stellenbosch University, Division of Chemical Pathology, and these universities have collaborated with the African Federation of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine, and being hosted by Empower School of Health, we are able to reach out to scientists or to laboratory professionals all over the countries and beyond. And it's a great opportunity that we can get together and share experiences and be able to find ways of steering one another to improve the laboratory practice. And we have also seen it fit, no wonder why this webinar on medical laboratory career opportunities to also highlight the opportunities that are there within the medical laboratory profession, so that all of us can see the opportunities that are available, remind each other of the opportunities, and also find ways of encouraging the next generation of medical laboratory professionals to come in and be part of this fun and endeavor, which allows us to reach out and help in the diagnosis, monitoring, and even in the prevention of disease. So thank you all, and all of you, as you have been welcomed by the chair of the webinar. Let's feel part of the of it all, and let's do our best. Thank you very much. Over to you, Glenda.
Yes, thank you so much, Ian. And I can only echo your words that it's way overdue that we start to work together as a continent. We tend to sit in our silos and work, and this is a wonderful opportunity to connect. So just to go over the program before we start, we have 3 speakers this morning. Each of them are 20 minutes, and then we are going to have a roundtable discussion, which is going to involve all of us to ask questions, make comments, and so we're going to start, and each talk is 20 minutes long. So I'm going to urge each of the speakers to keep that time so that we have a good time for discussion right at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first speaker, who I think everybody knows, and that's Dr. Ian Mashangura from the University of Zimbabwe, and he is going to address a very important issue for all of us, and that is the academic opportunities in medical laboratory science. And these are forever changing as laboratory diagnostics change. And so without further ado then, Dr. Ian, can you take us into the first presentation? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will mute myself.
It's an honor and a privilege to present to you my thoughts on the academic opportunities in medical laboratory sciences. And I would like to acknowledge Glenda Davison, who has also contributed to this talk as well in preparation of the slides and getting all together. So as indicated, I'm Ian Machingura. I'm from the University of Zimbabwe, Department of Laboratory Diagnostic and Investigative Sciences. In order for the profession to continue growing, there is need of people to continue to learn and progress in the profession. Some would be teachers, which is almost like training of trainers. Some would work in the medical laboratory profession, and some may diversify. And hence, we have to remind ourselves of the opportunities that are there in order for us to be able to get going. And in modern medicine, it is impossible to treat, diagnose people without clinical laboratory practice being involved. You find that approximately 70% of the medical diagnoses are based on laboratory tests, and hence they have to be done well. And the medical laboratory professionals are the ones that are involved in the testing and even in the development of the new methods which we use in the field. And hence they have to do their jobs properly, even if in the diagnosis. For example, if it's improperly done, the diagnosis and treatment will be less effective, leading to people dying, some having to pay more than they should have paid for in order to get treated, because the diagnosis would have taken long. So clinical laboratory testing plays a crucial role in the detection, diagnosis, and treatment of disease. And it also plays a role in the disease monitoring and prevention. And the prevention has been on the forefront this couple of months and over the past year with the COVID-19 pandemic. Laboratory professionals, we are the ones who detect the virus responsible for COVID-19, and hence we can be able to give a report indicating who has COVID-19, who doesn't have, and this report will enable now those who have it to be isolated. Those who do not have, they can work knowing that they don't have, and even be able to travel. And the terminology for colleagues who work in the medical laboratory varies from country to country. In some countries, they call them biomedical scientists. In some countries, they call them medical laboratory scientists. In some countries, they call them medical laboratory technologists. But all in all, these professionals do perform tests in the disciplines of hematology, blood transfusion science, clinical chemistry, microbiology, immunology, histology, molecular biology. All these disciplines are involved in the diagnosis of disease, and medical laboratory professionals can work in all these disciplines. And depending on the type of lab they are working, you may work in a single discipline or in a multidisciplinary lab. And the entry point into the profession is an undergraduate degree, and in most countries it's a bachelor's degree. For example, in Zimbabwe, it's a 4-year degree, which is offered one by the University of Zimbabwe, the Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Sciences honors degree. Africa University also offers Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Sciences. And in South Africa, our colleagues do offer a 4-year degree, a Bachelor of Health Sciences in Medical Laboratory Sciences, and at Cape Peninsula University of Technology, they actually have it as a 4-year program. And in South Africa, they have colleagues who have learned using the national diploma and the BTech degree in the past. They offer an articulation program, which is a 2 to 3 year part-time course. And at the moment, Cape Peninsula University of Technology is the one which has led and is rolling this course. Other universities are working on that. This articulation program will result in the holders of the national diploma and the BTech being awarded the Bachelor of Health Sciences in Medical Laboratory Sciences. And an undergraduate degree would allow you to work in the medical laboratory all over the world and in the country. It's good to have it, and it allows you to work in the lab. But my encouragement is to say we need to
Hi, Dr. Ian. I think we lost you. Can you unmute yourself?
Higher level of approaching
Thank you.
complex problems that you face, and hence you need to be able to learn to that higher level. And you can also be trainers as well, as you see that in order to be a lecturer at the university, in most countries, the minimum entry requirement is a bachelor's, is a master's degree. So you need to learn at a higher level. And at a master's level, you can do this by taught course, whereby you go to a formal school, in a university, in a department within the university. You learn more, you learn particular courses, and you write an exam, and you also undertake a project as part of your mastery learning. And you can, for example, in Zimbabwe, we have a master's in clinical biochemistry, master's in hematology and transfusion, master's in medical microbiology, and master's of science in vaccinology. However, other universities all over do offer the other disciplines of medical laboratory sciences. You can also do a master of science in virology, parasitology, immunology, histology, cytology, molecular biology, forensic pathology, and you can also diversify. Because with the knowledge that you have, the basic knowledge that you have of medical lab sciences, you can also diversify into public health. In public health, as they are dealing with disease, they also need people who have a knowledge of the medical laboratory sciences involved. So some can diversify and do a master's in public health. And also we need managers also within the lab. And some can diversify into management. These are opportunities that you can take. Our colleagues, the medical doctors, also diversify and come into the lab as well. They are part of the medical laboratory professionals. After their medical degree, they undergo a master's degree or a board certification, and it allows them to work in the lab. So you find in the lab, it's a team. We have medical laboratory scientists, technologists, biomedical scientists. We also have our colleagues, the clinicians. They also can do, for example, in Zimbabwe, a master's in medicine, in hematology, in histopathology. In other countries, they also can do chemical pathology, microbiology, immunology, virology, molecular pathology, and forensic pathology. And it allows them now to work in the lab, and we can work as a team. And by research, you can learn in all the disciplines of medical laboratory profession, in your clinical biochemistry, hematology, transfusion, medical microbiology, virology, parasitology, immunology, histology, cytology, molecular biology, and forensic pathology. You can learn it by research as well. That is, you can choose a research topic in a particular discipline and work on it and result in a master of philosophy. And the master of philosophy degree is a research-based degree, and full-time you can do it 2 to 4 years, or you can do it part-time for 3 to 6 years. We are encouraging colleagues in the lab to learn at a higher level because it allows higher level thinking in the lab to occur. And we can also learn at doctoral level. There is Doctor of Philosophy, which is referred to as DPhil, or a PhD. And this is also a research-based degree, whereby the target is to develop researchers in a particular discipline of medical laboratory science. You learn, you undertake a project and you generate new knowledge in the field so that you are able to stand as a researcher in the future. And this can be done in 3 to 5 years full-time or 4 to 8 years full-time. And this is available in all the partner universities in this collaboration. You can do your MPhil, your DPhil within the University of Zimbabwe, the Cape Peninsula, University of Technology, Stellenbosch University. You can undergo your master of philosophy, doctor of philosophy degree as well. And you can also do a professional doctorate. This one is unlike the doctor of philosophy, whereby you are learning on your learning is based on a particular project, and you are just undertaking that project and generating new knowledge, and we are developing you as a researcher. In the professional doctorate, it combines the taught, you have some taught courses and you have independent research. And this enables the novel contribution to industry to occur, because you'll be taught at a higher level, but being allowed now to utilize that knowledge to solve complex problems within the medical laboratory profession. And the doctorate degree or the PhD is the terminal qualification that you can have in the medical laboratory profession. That's the last degree that you can have. All the others that you can do after this, it will just be you learning or in a fellowship program, learning from other colleagues and being mentored. The example is the postdoctoral fellowship. This can be 1 to many years. I've seen some postdoctoral fellows who have been postdoctoral fellows for up to 5 years. And in this, you are being mentored to do research in a particular discipline, and so that you can stand as a researcher and you can be able to develop others as well. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying and encouraging you all is to say the medical laboratory profession is a good profession. When you have done your undergraduate qualification, you must not be satisfied being there forever. There are opportunities to learn at a higher level, and at a higher level, you can be able now to contribute towards the generation of new knowledge, towards the development of other health professionals. We owe it to the public who we serve to learn as much as we can, utilizing the facilities that are available in the country where we are. Should we be in Zimbabwe? Should we be in South Africa? Should we be any other country? We need to continuously learn. No wonder why even our councils have put in CPD points to say, as a medical laboratory professional, you need to continue to learn. You mustn't be satisfied with where you are. Knowledge is moving. Do not be satisfied with where you are. Let's learn. Let's all find ways of improving ourselves. I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Machangura and Ian, for that very informative talk. And I think very important, because I so agree with you. our professionals who have attained these higher degrees are the leaders of our profession. And I think we need to support them. It's a long journey when you go into a PhD or a master's degree. And so I salute anybody who has gone that route. So thank you very much. I just want to tell all the participants, we're going to have the roundtable discussion at the end, but if you want to put in a comment or a question in the chat, please do so, because at the end we can then go back and address those comments or questions in the roundtable discussion. So thank you. So then we're going to go on to the next speaker. And this is Dr. Aaron Maramba. And yeah, we're going to deal with a very important issue, because we study a lot, but what are the career opportunities in medical laboratory science? And I'd like to invite Dr. Aaron Maramba to share his screen so he can tell us about that. I hand over to you, Dr. Professor Maramba. Dr. Maramba, are you there? Are you able to share your screen? I wonder if Dr. Maramba doesn't have a problem connecting. With your permission, Dr. Mashangura, can we perhaps go on to the next speaker while perhaps one of the organizers, Sonia, could perhaps assist Dr. Maramba? Do you think that would be a good idea?
Yes, let's go to Prof. Okesina whilst Dr. Maramba is working on that. And then internet was a problem this side, and I think he might be facing a challenge with internet. Whilst Prof. Okesina is going on, we will see how I can assist.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent idea. So I think we'll hand over to Dr. Okesina, and he's going to be speaking about an exceptionally important topic, which Dr. Ian alluded to, and that is continual professional development. As Dr. Ian said, we can't just qualify and think that's the end of the journey. The journey continues throughout our life as a professional. So, Dr. Okesina, would you like to share your screen? I see you are starting that already.
Yeah, I'm trying to share. I've just been unmuted, so
you're not muted.
I'm trying to see if I can bring my screen on.
We can hear you very
clearly. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Thank you very much. So
clearly.
So I'm trying to reach at my screen where my slides is hiding, but I will get at it now.
I'm sure you will. Don't worry. We shall be patient and look forward to it.
Let me cancel this and start again. Somehow I'm not getting this thing. It's not showing my screen. Anyway.
We can see your screen. There it comes. I think it's coming now. We can see, I can see it.
Can you see it now?
There it is. It's there.
Oh,
I
good,
can
great.
see it clearly, and we can hear you clearly as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go
I'll
ahead.
start now. Okay. So my topic is role of continuous professional development in improving quality of laboratory services in Africa. And I'm occasional from Nigeria. I'm a chemical pathologist by training and a medic initially before I went to specialize in chemical pathology. And I've been in laboratory medicine for more than 3 or 4 decades. So I'm happy to be with you this morning and to present this topic. So my outline is as shown on the screen. I will first introduce the topic, then try to define what we mean by CPD, that continuous professional development. Then we go to look at historical development, how this issue came about. Then we look at improving quality of laboratory services in Africa, before we now talk of the benefits and importance of the continuous development issue. Then we look at the tools and processes that can be used for this assignment. Change is constant, and what is continuously changing. So the best option to keep up with this pace is to use continuous development programs to stay one step ahead of the game. Again, lifelong learning is mandatory requirement for superior growth in professional development. And for success in any professional career, CPD, that's continuous professional development, is the way forward. We know that new challenges keep occurring from time to time, and including methodologies to really attack these new challenges. We know the issue of unexpected Ebola attack, followed by MERS, and now currently we have the COVID. These are things that are not there before. So we need to be prepared that we are professionally proficient in terms of continuous training to meet the new demands that will continuously come up from time to time, whether we like it or not. So the library personnel would therefore need to be updated to improve his service delivery ability. So continuous development thus becomes indispensable, not only in Africa, but anywhere in the world. So CPD refers to the process of training and developing, knowledge, attitudes, knowledge, and skills through independent or participatory interactive learning. And this form of learning enables professionals to improve, sometimes through certified learning. Some professionals are expected to update their knowledge in latest advances in the laboratory activities. So in countries, access to these programs may be a challenge because of lack of available resources in terms of training facilities or programs in place. So there are differences in terminologies with regard to CPD. So we have used certain terms such as CME, which is continuous medical training or medical education, and CE, continuous education, lifelong learning, PPD. These are terminologies which are referring to the same thing, in which professionals have to, from time to time, improve on their performance or know-how. And also proficiency depends on practice and continuous improvement on what you are doing and making it to do it better. So continuous discipline activities is an activity through which professionals develop, for example, it could be work-based learning activities, it could be professional organizing conferences, and also informal activities like what we are doing now is type of exposure to training so people can log in and learn from it. Also the formal education and self-directed learning. So CPD is a key element in professional development to maintain an improvement in expertise know. And when the workers are getting better, it means performance of the organization or institution can be better in terms of the development or productivity. So historically, the concept of continual improvement started with W. Edwards Deming, and he is one of the initiators of this concept or improvement as a central goal in quality management. Beginning in the 1940s, he worked with manufacturing companies and in which he discussed quality of improvements. Not necessarily, not only laboratory medicine needs continuous improvement, also other systems needs continuous quality. So it's not only peculiar to laboratory medicine, and we cannot do without it in lab medicine as well. So Demi described 14 quality points, which are very important in terms of developing or making progress with a CPD. And I will look at two of them in the next slide. The first one, among Demi's quality points, creates the consistency of the improvement goal. This message here is that the constant work is needed to maintain the process of development. The second one in Demi's 40 points quality points is improve constantly and forever. So it means that will be continuous, that will be repetitive, and that will be, progressive in activity and in arrangement. So it has to be forever. It's not something you do and forgo it. As long as somebody is in the system working, it needs to be exposed from time to time to certain professional improvement and productivity. I've mentioned the example of new infections, which people have to know how to test for them and how to protect themselves against the infectious disease, and use other techniques and technologies, techniques and perfection, which may be different from the requirement of the previous attack of infection. So we need that improvement from time to time. Therefore, CPD is the way to go, whether we like it or not. Let's look at some definitions. And so we look at quality of laboratory service, which is a set of activities that is put in place so that reliable and timely results can be produced as expected in the laboratory. The further development is the improvement of the performance of working in an institution to optimize service delivery by that institution. And if you develop the expertise of your workers, of your staff, then it means they'll be able to provide this service delivery in a quality manner. Then training is a process in which a process of impacting required knowledge, skills, and attitudes to the workers. Sorry, my slide is not going again. So what is improving the quality of services in laboratories? So process of improvement, sorry. So process of improvement, one of the quality system essentials creates a program that develops the continuously improved laboratory quality over time. This continuous improvement of laboratory process is essential for quality management system. So the central law of improvement is every system is designed to deliver the results it produces. Hence, there is a clear understanding of the nature and interdependencies in a system, which are key to improvement. So when you want to look at a system generally, it has to be interwoven or interrelated, because when you're looking at the sample that will be examined, or you want to analyze the content, it has to be collected in a proper manner and in a professional way, so that it will provide the relative quality or standard required for that test. And also the procedure of receiving, separating, distributing, and assessing, and before even the laboratory analysis itself, and also post-analysis stage. All this has to be integrated together before you can produce a quality of management. That's why systems have to be linked and connected so as to be sure that you are doing the right thing. What are the benefits of continuous development of professionals? So the aim of CPT is to maintain high standards of competence in terms of knowledge, skills, and behavior of the attitude of workers. So in health professional, it's effective in improving healthcare, the patient outcomes, and population health status. For example, participating in CPT activities by lab professionals or lab professionals improve quality of laboratory values given to patients and to the users. Those are the doctors that will use it, as well as the patient that benefit from the treatment that will come out of it. So professional boards also have been created in which they try to enforce that CPD, certain level of CPD must be passed through by individual members or staff that are performing these functions, so that they will be able to meet the standard required for good quality productivity. So what has other benefits? It gives personnel, that's individual that has gone through CPD now, a sense of confidence and broadens his horizon, so that he is not shy, it's sure that he's aware of what is going on, and it can confidently perform his duties adequately. Also, it improves the effectiveness and the efficiency of laboratory service, or generally. Then it is useful to get promotion and accreditation. So promotion of the individual that has been going through CPD, as well as accreditation of the system that is making sure the staff that are working within the laboratory are performing maximally or updated in terms of knowledge and ability. Also, it serves as a global recognition and grant for laboratory. So also, it allows for flexibility and prompt adjustment in case of eventuality. Like I've said, in case of infectious diseases that are more virulent than the previous one, you are trained to be able to handle and to face the reality. Also, to reduce the stress and burnout mental fatigue, because if you are not proficient, you're making mistakes and you're doing the wrong things, which eventually will make you to become frustrated. And of course, you could lose your life if you are careless and you get infected, and you'll be COVIDized. That means you will die of COVID. Also, weakness in any system, develop plans to implement improvements, implement the plan, review the effectiveness of the measure through targeted review and audit of the system. Also, adjust the action plan and change the system based on the results of review of assessment. This is part of accreditation that you can benefit if you are using CPD on the staff. Other tools. A process is a series of action or operation. In cases, the input, that's patient sample, are converted to output, that's examination of results. As some of the type of work or activities that function can be performed, so as part of tools to assess the system, checking for improvement or no improvement. Also, process improvement is a systematic and periodic approach to improving the quality of laboratory and the inputs and outputs that hold these processes together. It is a way of solving problems. When there's a problem, there's the quality to describe, then one or more process need to be checked and improved upon. So what are the conventional tools? Many useful techniques have been developed for use in the process of improvement. For example, internal and external audits will identify weaknesses and problems in the system. Another useful tool is to take part in external quality assessment. This enables performance of laboratory to be compared with that of other laboratories. Ultimate review of all information gathered through these activities should be carried out. In addition, regular reviews of laboratory records should be carried out periodically. For example, quality control, inventory management, and equipment maintenance. These records can be reviewed on a regular basis to make sure they are in place, as well as being monitored to see the direction they are going. These reviews provide useful information about the areas for improvement of the system. Also, professional tools, use of information from these reviews and audits and throughout the process monitoring include the following. Customer complaints inclusive that even outside the laboratory system, you can be checking what the customers, who are the customers, your patients, and your doctors that make use of the result from the laboratory, as well as the sponsors of laboratory, the management that pay that actually controls the the financial support of the laboratory and an administrative aspect of it, employment and what errors and near misses. All this combined will provide opportunities for improvements using problems that will be identified. So I rest my case, and I know there will be discussion after. I heard Glenda saying that at the end of this discussion, we're going to have an interactive session in which we can develop more on the topic. Thank you very much for listening. In conclusion, the goal of CPD in the improvement of quality library services in Africa can be better achieved by formation of educational committee within the hospital system. Also, there will be planning as well as evaluation teams separately so that they all work together to make sure the staff are adequately protected in terms of giving the opportunity for CPD, which we know the system will benefit from maximally. So educational course logbooks should be prepared in which laboratory professionals who have already passed courses can be recorded, because going for the CPD does not mean you have done it well. So there are some certified organizations can actually provide whether the individual needs to repeat the exposure or not. So such people have actually satisfactorily done the training can be recorded, and those who have not benefited must be known and be identified and make sure they all have this exposure because of the importance of it to the system. Also, this can be used in planning for individuals' professional development in the laboratory. The references are listed at the back, which you can use to get some of where I draw my information. Thank you very much for listening. Glenda, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Okasina. And I think this is such an important topic. And you know, where I come from, it's constantly under discussion because people see it as a chore that has to be done. And yet it can be such a rewarding thing, as you have pointed out, and something that all laboratories should be doing. So I'm hoping we have lots of discussion in the discussion part of this program today. Yes. So thank you very, very much.
It's a pleasure. Yes, I will continue to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're now going to go back to Dr. Maramba Aaron. I hope, Dr. Aaron, if you can share your screen. First, let Prof. Okasina stop sharing, and then I'm sure you will be able to share your screen as well.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Maramba. Welcome.
Sorry for the glitch that happened earlier on. I just couldn't unmute myself, neither could I share the screen. I don't know what was happening on my computer, but I hope this time around it's gonna work.
I'm sure we can hear you loud and clear, so I'm sure that it is going to work. And as we are laboratory professionals, we always can make a plan somehow. So go ahead, we can see your screen starting to share now. And there it is, it's right there. Yes, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Maramba, who's going to talk about such an important thing, because what are the career opportunities in medical laboratory science? And this is so important to tell our undergraduates and those at school. Why should you choose this as a career? But I'm going to leave that over to you. So you go ahead, Dr. Maramba. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Prof. I'm going to talk about the opportunities that are there in medical laboratory sciences as a profession. This is a hidden profession that obviously saves life, but most people do not appreciate how it works until someone talks about it. So the overview of the presentation, my presentation, I'll look at when someone chooses sciences. The training programs have already been mentioned. I'll just sweep through there. medical lab specialties. It's not going to be exhaustive, but I'll mention the ones that are common. Then the laboratory attachment at various levels, then the career choices, prospective employers, the job satisfaction that we all want, then career progression and the barriers that can be there to career progression up until someone decides to retire or comes to the retirement age. So when choosing the medical laboratory sciences career, this is a field that is determining the blood groups in blood bank to identifying outbreaks in microbiology and monitoring biomarkers in cancer, which applies in most of the disciplines that we have. Medical lab scientists are at the heart of the multidisciplinary team. And this, let me just share my video. I hope my camera is working. Yeah, so the medical lab scientists provide scientists, they do work. I was talking about the appreciation of the job that is done by scientists from behind the scenes. So this allows other professionals to make informed clinical decisions, enables the blood stocks to be adequate at critical times, in matching blood patients and many other things that can be done by scientists. So the programs, I will just rush through this. Dr. Machingura did justice to this. In most countries, there are historical programs that produce the scientists that we have now. The scientists are the top of the profession. But as of now, the entry is a degree, a BSc honors, which is the standard training. Other countries, they do sandwich programs whereby the training involves attachments and classroom learning. Then there's laboratory attachments that in other programs which are not sandwiched. Then there are top-up programs where someone comes into the profession without the standard degree program. Then there are equivalent routes, which is again the top-up route. Above the basic degree, you can have professional training, which leads to consultant clinical scientists. I'll talk about those in career progression. You can also do a master's or an MPhil, which empowers you, gives you more knowledge and experience. Then at the top, we have got the PhDs, but more specifically for this profession, since it's a profession, there are professional doctorates, which are taken by people who want to gain more knowledge and skills to be able to lead in the profession. Then the DPhils are also there. I heard Dr. Machingula talking about postdoc in education. Those are also there. In other countries, there is expert practice training, which is done to empower the professionals. So on the medical laboratory specialties, we've got management, quality assurance. Those are not the typical kind of the basic laboratory specialties, but they are majors where someone ends up in. We've got blood transfusion, we've got clinical chemistry. We also have cellular pathology, hematology, immunology. Like I said, this is not exhaustive, but these are the sort of fields that someone would be introduced to when they first start their training in medical lab sciences. However, there are a lot of other specialties that can come out after that. So as part of their training, there's a laboratory attachment, which is mandatory. So the purpose of the laboratory attachment is to integrate and apply previously acquired knowledge and skills in the actual clinical setting. So someone has been in the classroom learning the theory. So laboratory attachment as part of their training is meant to do that integration. It is also essential that the candidates will be able to gain valuable first-hand experience, because from a classroom, from a high school to classroom, then from classroom into the field practicing, when you do a laboratory attachment, that's when you then appreciate the first-hand experience working in the lab. This also helps our professionals to have contacts when they go on a laboratory attachment. These contacts we have give them a chance to also get into the field, and also it allows them to start earning a salary. So there are different types of attachments that are available depending on the level at which someone is. If someone is still at the training school at the university, there are compulsory laboratory attachments for undergraduates. There are mentorship programs that are also there for undergraduates as well as postgraduates, because you always want to have a mentor. I will talk more about mentorship after this. Then there's sandwich programs. Other universities offer sandwich programs, which are sort of similar to some historical programs, which we had. For example, in Zimbabwe, we used to have diplomas, which were more like sandwich programs. Half the time at work, half of the time in the classroom, which gives you a better chance of understanding the science and the profession. Then there's also volunteering for graduates. So someone is graduated, they probably attend a degree which didn't have a lot of laboratory attachment. So to gain experience and be able to get into the profession, they may have to volunteer, or they may go for work experience, which again brings them closer to Cont'd and gain valuable first-hand experience. Then there's a laboratory internship for those in countries where there is a requirement for open practice certificate. Like in Zimbabwe, we've got our open practice certificate, which requires someone after they've graduated to then go and work with a logbook to be able to learn the skill. This profession is a regulated profession, which makes it a protected profession. So the term medical laboratory scientist is a protected title and refers only to those registered with their relevant professional councils. The practitioners must meet all standards of proficiency to be able to register. Like I just mentioned, for the open practice certificate, you need to satisfy the council so that you are registered. And this is guided by the Code of Professional Conduct. In our last webinar, we talked about the professional conduct, good professional practice. So for the medical lab scientists, as a career, there are many choices that are available. Many lab scientists work in healthcare, of course, where most of the laboratories are high-tech, hubs, and cutting edge is there. But if working in the hospital is not something that you would want, there are a lot of other avenues to explore, which include the teaching and training, which Dr. Machingura was talking about. There are jobs in drug development and testing, cancer screening, infection control, government advisory, management, forensic, IT. IT is one of the fields where scientists we have trained as lab scientists, we end up developing the systems that are used to manage the patient results. There's also research, there's also point of care testing, journalism, and many others, which gives you freedom of choice as to what you can do once you have graduated. In terms of prospective employers, the health ministries are the biggest employers because it's a medical laboratory profession, whereby you are involved in healthcare industry. There's also public health as employers, private pathology laboratories, which also again feed into the health ministries. Then there's educational institutions where you're talking about education and training. As a professional, you can go back and teach other people to come back into the profession or to come into the profession. Then there's healthcare diagnostic supplies, companies, industries that are making products which are used in diagnostics. So those can also employ medical laboratory scientists. Pharmaceuticals, non-governmental organizations, research organizations, and more importantly, self-employment, where someone can decide to go and start their venture as a private laboratory. That's also something that you can consider. In terms of job satisfaction, the career in lab sciences is very satisfying, in my opinion. But one will enjoy more if they are interested in science and technology. We're talking about someone who is deciding to come into the profession. They must be interested in science and technology. If they also enjoy practical and hands-on work, this is the best place to be. If they are curious, because these are investigators behind the scenes, blood detectives, for example, what we say in hematology, blood detectives. So if they are curious and have gained and have eyes for details, then they can come into the profession. They are self-motivated and good communication skills is very important. So they will enjoy themselves. So recognition that diagnosis and monitoring of treatments depend on the lab results makes someone to be satisfied. After you've done what you've done, you have contributed to the diagnosis so that someone's health is managed. The feeling of being included with other health professionals also makes this job satisfying. I know that this is also a challenge in various other places, but the fact that doors have been opened, people enjoy themselves because they feel included. They'll be more rewarding in private practice, which is self-employment. Like I said on the last slide, if you start your venture, you may be able to run your own private lab, which is very satisfying. Medical laboratory scientists make choices that are personally relevant in determining the future and feel challenged in their work. It's not always doing the routine activities every day. So you can choose to change the kind of work that you do. A medical laboratory scientist or biomedical scientist, I've decided to put some salary grades. These are not exact, but that's just guiding. I've decided to remove those for Zimbabwe because Zimbabwe we have had challenges in Zimbabwe in terms of our economy. So salaries, they vary. There's a wide gap between the private and the public because of the way our economy has been running, but it's satisfying. On average, a biomedical scientist in South Africa says 141. I don't know whether that is true, but that's what you get from the internet when you check for the salary scales. About 9,000 US dollars. And in the US, about 60,000, that's per annum. In the UK, starting salary is around 30,000, 33,000 US dollars for the entry grade. And at the top of it, you go to about 70,000. So it's if money is what you want, I think it's pretty good. Australia, the same thing, an average of about 45,000 per year. Then in terms of career progression, because salary is not everything, but you want to be able to go into a profession where you can climb the ladder. So for many years, medical lab science is a ceiling. However, thanks to innovations in information technology, because there are new career paths in laboratory medicine, which go beyond the old categories that we have had. That, for example, when I trained, there were limited opportunities, but now there are many opportunities that are there, which have been brought by information technology. Career progression is a process of climbing the ladder during your working life. You don't want to enter the profession and stay in that grade forever. But this is a result of moving forward, being promoted, finding new challenges, new employers, new opportunities, and getting the most out of your career, really. That makes you satisfied, and that's part of the career progression. Sorry. So the career progression is not simply about finding a new job or a better job, by the way. It is also about receiving a pay rise, being given additional responsibilities, moving sideways to try and find new other challenges in the company, and can even be the process of leaving the company and starting your own venture. Like I said earlier, it's satisfying to do that, but it's part of the career progression. There are a vast number of ways to improve the efficiency of one's career progression. So networking is one of them. Mentoring and coaching is another. Training and the development, and just simply asking, it can also help. But talking about career progression, does career progression lead to a larger salary? Salary may not be an issue for some people. So which is why we have to consider various things when you talk about career progression, just changing what you are doing to do something that you like, something that makes you more satisfied, really. I decided to put up about 5 categories, five pathways, where someone who has got a BSc in medical laboratory sciences, whom we call a generalist, who start off with the first degree, then they progress up. So at the bottom there, we've got a first degree. Then if you want to become a laboratory manager of operations, you can climb that way, a clinical laboratory scientist, laboratory manager, then you end up becoming a manager of operations. On average, it takes about 10 years to get to that point. But for you to climb up there, it takes experience, it takes education, it takes determination as well. Then on the second category, I've got someone with the biomedical, with a first degree, they want to become a director of a laboratory service, with the laboratory services. So that takes them about 12 years to get there, but you have to climb up the ladder from a first degree to a clinical laboratory supervisor to a laboratory manager, then you become a director. You can be a director in a public institution, but you can equally become a director in your own entity, depending on the size of the organization that you're working for. So yeah, on average, it's about 12 years you become a director. But you don't want to become a director without experience, without the knowledge, without the skills. Similarly, another person starts with a general degree and goes on to become a clinical lead. This normally happens within the hospital setup, but it takes about 7 years to get to that point. Then in terms of quality, you can climb up from basic degree, lab supervisor, quality assurance, then you end up as a quality manager. About 11 years to get to that, because you need experience to get to that point in exposure. And in academia, the first degree lands you a job as a graduate teaching assistant. Over time, you can become a lecturer. So graduate teaching assistant normally takes about 2 years, 3 years, depending on the route that you are carrying, which you are taking. Normally, you'll be taking a postgraduate training, you become a lecturer, first grade, which, for example, in the University of Zimbabwe, the entry point is a master's. So once you get your master's, you're a lecturer. From there, you become tenured to become a senior lecturer, maybe another 2-3 years, then to become a professor, associate professor or full professor, minimum 10 years or upwards, depending on how much work you put into it. But those are some of the examples that I've decided to give as examples. But there are many other pathways that can be followed. For example, in the UK, guided by the IBMS, they over and above the first degree, they've got a specialist diploma which can be given, which can be attained by someone who would normally work in the National Health Service at Band 6. Then a certificate of expert practice. This is professional qualification. These are available for quality managers, for leadership management, training management, and quality management and training. Then also diplomas in expert practice. So you're climbing up, and this is giving you the knowledge and skills to be able to work at that level. And for the diploma in expert practice, it's important in some special areas where, for example, cytology, where it has been a prison for the clinicians for many years, but pathways opening up for scientists to get in there. It can climb up to Band 7 position, which is a middle manager level. It's the higher specialist diploma is equivalent to a master's. Let's say someone didn't have a master's, they can go that route just to empower them to be able to work at that level. Then there's advanced specialist diplomas, which are available for cytology, histology, and only involve diagnostic elements. So a scientist can climb that way. Then we have got the Royal College of Pathology, which is also an organization where scientists can join in. I've started with the higher specialist scientist training program, which is now offered to hematology scientists. And it allows them to climb up to become a consultant clinical scientist. They train to the same level as a medically qualified pathologist, combining years of scientific expertise. So these are opportunities that are opening up for scientists to be able to be empowered and be able to do things. There are consultant clinical scientists in other fields, which attain and become managers in pathology. We have got examples here of clinical scientists in chemical pathology, clinical scientists in reproductive science, and histocompatibility and immunogenetics. All those opportunities that can arise. clinical scientists are an essential force in improving healthcare. They set evidence-based standards for laboratories and bring they bring in new technologies because of research, but most also contribute to research. So because of the research, they bring out new methods for diagnosis and they make decisions. So that's the highest level that you want to be as a medical scientist or as a biomedical scientist. However, having talked about all those, there are barriers that can prevent you from progressing in your career. We need to be aware of this and be able to deal with them. So the first barrier is lack of will. Most people don't feel that they deserve a promotion. You must know that the higher your profession is in your organization, the higher your power to delegate your work, the higher the rewards, and also the higher the control over your time. The second barrier is lack of a career plan. You must have a plan. You must chart your career path. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 20 years? And so on. Otherwise, you end up at the first degree and you stay there. Then you end up saying the career is not satisfying. It is satisfying, provided that you have got a plan for yourself. Your focus shouldn't just be on staying employed. Your focus needs to be on staying employable and promotable. You don't have to leave your job, but you must be there as an indispensable force. The third barrier is lack of preemptive strikes. You need to tell people what you want to do. Within an organization, who else knows your desires or needs? They need to know that. No one else can read your mind, so you need to say it yourself. The fourth barrier is lack of corporate cheerleaders. Others in your organization need to know about your skills, talents, competencies, expertise, and experiences. So the hint is keep giving value to people you meet. They will spread your good name. That's very important. The fifth barrier is lack of mentors and coaches. The easiest way to navigate the corporate minds is to have a corporate mentor or a coach. You can have this within an organization or you can get one from outside. Even in sporting, the sporting legends have coaches. Why would the Nadals, the Federers, why do they have coaches? They're at the top of that game, but they still have coaches. In football, they have got coaches. So feedback is the breakfast of champions. You need to have a feedback. You can't just push on your own. You need coaches and mentors who are going to guide you. Then lack of courage is another barrier. So most people are afraid to lose their jobs. So that fear of loss of control will then control their actions. What I would say is do your work well, but keep an eye on your personal goals too, because you've got that career plan that you use for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years. Keep an eye on that. Don't lose the eye. Don't lose the ball. The seventh one is lack of self-education. You need to be educated. You need to educate yourself to be able to prepare for that next opportunity. Most people stop their learning after they graduate. Others look up to their organization. Oh, they will teach me. They won't teach you. You have to be there, prepared, and planning to move on. You need to learn to have ability to connect, communicate, network, lead, and sell. You need to sell yourself so that people can check you. However, whatever you do, you need to come to a retirement. You need to think about retirement packages. So working beyond retirement, this is workplace incentives that bring people to, or cause people to want to keep going. The benefits, compensations, opportunities, and part-time work, these are valuable. Maintaining daily routine and financial benefit is another driver for someone to work beyond retirement. There are also differences, however, among practitioners, administrators, educators on how they view incentives for working post-retirement. As for scientists who step back from full-time work, this can give them plenty of time to remain active in their research field so that they can keep on working and mentoring the younger generation. For some clinical scientists, the next step in a career path might not involve bench work. So you want to go beyond the bench, but that experience which you gained on the bench should be able to empower you to keep going. Someone said being on the bench got them very routine, very very, very routine. But well, this is someone called Bremian. Being on the bench got very routine and very rude. I didn't see a lot of advancement opportunities at the time. I did a lab IT at the hospital, and so they decided to follow the path of information technology. You can develop a LIMS system that can be used in labs if you don't want to be there in front dealing with samples. You can also be offering consultative services as a consultant. So those are some of the things that you can do beyond retirement. Otherwise, I'll end there. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maramba. That was a really insightful presentation for myself as well. And I think so many of our profession get stuck. They get stuck at that stage where they're on that routine bench doing those routine tests and don't seem to move. And I think we, as perhaps leaders in our profession, need to maybe also play a role in mentorship and bring our younger colleagues up, show them that way, because I think everything you've highlighted in your profession is so relevant. Further study, CPD, forming those connections, which we are doing right now. So I thank you for highlighting all of that. So that brings, yes, no, thank you very much for contributing. So that brings us to the end of the formal presentations, but we now go till 10:30. We have the time to discuss this. And we encouraged people to put questions in the chat. There haven't been too many, but perhaps one we can start with. And I put it out to the panel and to everybody. And this is the role of point of care testing. I know later in May, we have a point of care testing conference, I think, which many of us will present at, and this is increasing in leaps and bounds all over the world, including Africa, and particularly in Africa, because point of care testing can take testing right to that patient where they don't have to travel. But what does this mean for our profession? What role do we play in point of care testing? And we should be playing a role. But shouldn't be seen as a threat, but actually an opportunity for us to broaden our horizons. So I thought maybe we could start with that first question, and it was posed by Halliday. If I am mispronouncing this, please tell me, correct me. And I see your picture there. So I don't know if you'd like to perhaps elaborate a little bit on that question and point of discussion. Halliday, would you like to take the floor? Or if not, would anybody else like to comment on that?
I would call. Oh, okay, Dr. Maramba, you can go first. All right, it's all right.
No, I didn't want to. I didn't have any contribution. Sorry, Dr. Chingola. You can go ahead.
All right. My take on this is to say, point of care, in as much as it may seem a threat to us as medical laboratory professionals, it also brings an opportunity for us to take leadership in its running. Remember, medical laboratory testing is the domain of us medical laboratory professionals. So the management of the point of care does fall on us, and even the development of point of care further tests depends also on us, and ensuring those who are running the point of care in the hospital, in the practices where we work, they should fall under our domain as medical laboratory professional, managing them, managing the nurses, the colleagues who are running those tests and managing their programs, managing the quality control, managing how it's being done. And it is also essential to know that this is something that has come in, and we have to find ways of embracing and making the most out of it. But also in my own opinion, it also raises the issue that there are tests that only the lab personnel can do. And it is important for also to note that our profession will not be wiped away by point of care. Point of care is another tool which has come in the toolbox, but still there is need for laboratory testing. And in most cases, you will see that point of care testing, the cartridges and what is used actually costs more than the routine testing, because remember, testing quality issues are also incorporating into the testing, and the more tests that you do, the more you share the cost for quality control, quality assurance, and all that. So point of care is there to is coming, but us as lab professionals, we need to step our game up and find space within that domain, and also ensure that we show our importance and work with it as well. That's my thoughts.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
add something as well?
Yes, please go ahead.
So when Dr. Machingula asked me to go first, I wasn't ready to go, but I just want to say something just in support of what Dr. Machingula has said. The worries that we have around the point of care testing is on quality, precision, and accuracy of the results. The point of care appears to be a challenge in developing countries, where the platforms for point of care are used in diagnostic labs. The point of care testing platforms should be used in the doctor's rooms, in the theaters, in the side rooms, near patients. It's called near patient testing or point of care testing. We shouldn't bring a lot of these platforms in diagnostic labs, which is where some people become worried. Where I come from in Zimbabwe, we have got a challenge of financing equipment, high-tech equipment to put in our labs. So we end up with a lot of point of care platforms that are currently being used as diagnostic platforms. I think that's where some people become worried, because the point of care platforms has gone inside the diagnostic labs as opposed to being near patient. That's my take. That's my comment.
Yes, thank you. And that is so true, because the whole purpose of it, as you correctly say, is at that point of care, where a patient doesn't then have to travel to a big city to have a test done. It can be done in the clinic, and you can get the treatment there. And I think our profession should be playing a big role in training and training these healthcare professionals to do the test properly. Because Prof. Erasmus, who I must say couldn't connect this morning, and he sends his apologies, but he couldn't connect. He's running this point of care congress, and wants to actually in South Africa, together with us, start a point of care course, not only for our profession, but for our colleagues in the healthcare sector. But that course will be run by us. And so I think that is our role as leaders, this whole new game. I see we have a witness, Zobo, who would like to make a comment. Would you like to go ahead, witness?
Yes, thank you.
The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the presentations that have been given through. My name is Witness Zobo. I'm actually calling from the United Kingdom. I just wanted to add my contributions regarding the point of care. I am at an institution that is very big, and it operates a massive point of care. And like what Dr. Maramba was saying, point of care, the test should be done in the side room. It should be done close to the patient, should be near patient. In our hospital, the point of care is actually managed by the lab. So we have got the lab that actually manages, that does the quality control, supplies the reagents to the places where the point of care takes place. And when the point of care get a result which they suspect, they always send them to the lab for confirmation. So I think we should not be, I understand the point that when you are in a developing country, that these are the tests that are used for the diagnosis purpose. These tests should be used to help to give an indication of monitoring and diagnosis of the patient. And when they suspect that there's something going on, then a confirmatory test should be sent to the lab for the lab to actually confirm the test using the processes that have got proper quality management system. So I just wanted to say, point of care here is massive. It's led by the biomedical scientists. We've got actually a manager who manages point of care. It's taken as a department on its own, but it works in collaboration with the main pathology system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Witness. That's a very useful comment. And I think something we should all take into consideration as point of care advances in Africa. We're running out of time, so I want to address another comment that's come up on the chat about career advancements. I think someone has asked, can you do medicine from doing a biomedical science degree? And somebody did answer yes. And I'd also like to contribute that in South Africa, you can. Our Bachelor of Health Science course has been kind of recognized by some universities as a pre-medicine course, and students can go into third-year medicine because obviously they have to learn all the clinical side of medicine. So it is a possibility. However, the comments on the chat was that people should stay in the laboratory. And if you go into medicine, don't move out of the laboratory. And that comment was made by Irene Patsika. And so I wondered if anybody had any other comments, or if Irene would like to expand on that topic, because I think it is something we should address. Anybody? Irene, would you like to, have you gone down this route? Okay, anybody else like to? Yeah,
I'll just comment on there, just to say, as you have indicated, even our experience in Zimbabwe, we have had some seniors, some in our groups, and some junior to us who have diversified to do medicine, and some have actually gone back to do fellowship or MEd in order, which brings them back to the lab. Some have ventured more into the clinical. So it's possible. The sky is the limit to what you may want to do, and it depends on what you like as an individual. Some like the medical laboratory profession, some may get into the profession, then they see it's not for them, they want to diversify. So it's possible to diversify to do medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. I see Irene has put a message on the chat that she's unable to unmute, that the organizers have blocked us. I was wondering, Sonia, if it's possible to allow Irene to unmute herself so we can hear her comment. I don't know if that's possible.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Ah, there you are. Thank you. Go ahead, Irene. The floor is yours.
Well, fine. My comment, I was actually responding to Tafazo, who was asking about advancing to medicine. Actually, I don't consider, if you have done laboratory and you do medicine, I don't consider that as an advancement myself. I consider advancement if you've done your basic degree in med and laboratory sciences and you advance in that area, like what you guys, Dr. Ian Machingura and Maramba were explaining. If you have to do medicine, it's not really an advancement, you see, because like I'm saying, I've been working for 21 years. I work with doctors, I work with, so many professions, and I tell you, practically when you're there in the field, most doctors wish they were done laboratory sciences. That's from my experience. I don't know whether it's just for this country where I am because I'm in Botswana, but I don't really, if you have to do medicine, yes, keep in the laboratory and do pathology, because it's better in that side than medicine. Sitting there and consulting, doctors envy us. I want to be honest. If I have to give it, unless maybe you just want to do medicine just for passion. But I feel laboratory sciences is much better off. Even in terms of remuneration, if you look in the private sector, remuneration is, it's actually even better. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Irene. And I would agree with you, but I think in some countries, the remuneration is the issue. I know in South Africa, although the salaries that were given by the previous speaker were a bit low, it has improved since then. But I think in South Africa, the difference between medicine and biomedical science is huge. But I would agree with you. I think that biomedical science is a much more rewarding career. But let's hear from a witness, Zobo, from England again. I see your hand is up. Would you like to comment on this? The floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Glenda. I wanted to talk about something that I picked through our professor. I wanted to talk about something else, if I can be allowed to talk about it. I didn't want to comment about the current discussion, but something that I picked up when our professor was talking about CPD.
Yes, please go ahead. Let's move to another topic because time is running out. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think, thank you very much, Professor, for talking about CPD. It is a very, very vital thing that should be done in every laboratory setup. And I think what lacks most is how to implement it and how to have it as a basis for every single profession in respective departments. I think there should be a way, there should be a mechanism that CPD is enforced. Where we work, where I work, it is within the system that without having CPD, they may deem you incompetent. Because when we do what they call individual appraisals, which are done every year, they have got reviews in between. So what they do at the end of your review, they have got 3 important things that they look at. That have you done your mandatory training? Have you done your CPD? So if you don't have that in place, they say, no, you have to, for you to be said you are competent to work in this system, these things should be in place. So CPD is one of the things that you sign off that, and there is evidence, there should be evidence to show that what have you done? CPDs can be done in different forms, like what our professor was saying. Some even reading your SOP, you have to have evidence that you read an SOP on a certain date, and this is what you found out. Or you can read a journal, or you can attend, like what we are doing today. This is a learning platform, and this learning platform should be given CPD points so that you can say, okay, on a certain date, I attended this. This is what was talked about, and they gave us 3 points, 6 points, whatever. So I think in every lab should have a system to implement and enforce CPD, because it is very vital. Otherwise, people will rot. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You speak a lot of truth. In South Africa, it's a part of our registration. We cannot continue registration unless we have collected so many points over a 3-year period. I know that's not the case in every country. I went to a conference in Europe, and Europe don't have those laws, but in South Africa it is, and correctly so, Witness, it might be something that needs to be put there in all countries. So I fully agree with you there. I also see in the chat, Golden Musamba had a query about what is the career path for someone with a diploma in biomedical science who wishes to pursue a course in forensic pathology. So Golden, I'm not sure what country you're from. In South Africa, it's actually quite difficult because you have to go to the police services and join them to advance in forensics, although there are master's programs at UCT and some universities that you can do. But perhaps we can open the floor for others to, or would you like to sort of elaborate on your question? So Golden Musamba, would you like to elaborate, and then we can open the floor up and see if others have something to contribute?
I will share from our Zimbabwean experience. Our Zimbabwean experience, we are currently in the process of developing a course, a master's course in medical forensic. We note this is an area of need, and we are actually working on that. Most of our colleagues who have learned forensics have learned elsewhere or all over the world. And we also have within the university a BSc in forensic, but it doesn't have a component in medical forensics. So we are actually working with our colleagues to find ways of improving and ensuring that medical forensic is also comes into the forefront. So depending on the country, like what you said, Glenda, we need to understand where our colleague is from, so that at least we can point him or her to the right channel.
Yes, and perhaps we can hear from Golden Musamba. He's got his hand up, and I think he's been unmuted now. Would you like to elaborate on that? The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Glenda. Yes, I'm from Zambia, and we have a setup which is similar to yours. That aspect of the program is streamlined with the police service. So my question was aimed at finding out if there are countries around where it is given as a separate program without joining the police service, and then if it is also done as a distance or online platform program. Thank you.
Yes, so that is difficult to answer. I can tell you in South Africa, there is a master's degree in forensics at UCT that you could apply for, but that doesn't give you access to the police services. And the police services, certainly in South Africa, won't recognize that course unless you join them and work with them for a certain number of years. And I don't know if that course is a part-time course. So perhaps Ian or somebody from one of the other countries in the SADC region would like to come in here and give some information about their particular country, because it looks like it is a gap. It doesn't seem to be a formalized thing in our profession.
We are in the process, as indicated, we're working on a course, and
Yeah.
we are actually including the police force as one of our stakeholders and finding ways of working with them, because there is no way you can learn medical forensics without the police force. So it's actually work in progress at the moment, and I do trust we will be able to have something by end of the year or sometime next year. But definitely we will be working with the police force. That's where our students will go for attachment, and we also would utilize some of the colleagues who are in the police force as part-time lecturers, because that's where we have colleagues who have qualification in forensic pathology, apart from some colleagues within the department who do have the qualification, and we will work with the police force. So it's possible, and it will be great if the colleague can keep in touch. When the program is up and running, we can always let them know, so that they can find ways of applying and be considered for the program.
Yes, thank you, Ian. I know in South Africa it's so difficult because the police force they don't want to take foreign students because of security, and there's so many hurdles in that area, particularly in South Africa. However, I agree with you, nothing is impossible, and perhaps we should just try harder to work with the police force in the various countries. Okay, I think we've actually run out of time, Ian. It's 25 to 11. So I don't know if there are any other comments from our colleagues, or if I can hand to you, because you were going to do the closure. I mean, we could talk for another half an hour, because I know there are so many topics in this area to explore and talk about, but we have actually run out of time. So Ian, I wonder if I can hand back to you then to take over the last and the closing of this fantastic webinar, which I certainly have enjoyed and learned so much about, and something we must definitely do again. That's my comments. I think it's something we should get together on these various topics more regularly, Ian, even just to discuss the various issues from the various countries.
Thank you very much, Glenda, for chairing the meeting so well. And I would also want to thank the colleagues, all of you who have spent their time attending to this webinar. It's one of the many that we'll do, and the collaboration is going to do much more. This is only the beginning, and to note that on the 29th of April, we'll be sending the flyer at the end of today or tomorrow, whereby we'll focus more in laboratory issues, whereby we'll be talking about quality issues. We also have a webinar, and we have taken note of your comments, colleagues, to say we need to make the presentations short so that those who can attend, And those who will be able to watch them after, they will be available on the Facebook page. We'll share the link for you to share with colleagues, to share with others who didn't attend, and also for you to go over some of the things that you might have missed during the discussion. I would also want to thank Prof. Erasmus in absentia for his input in making this an event successful, and the presenters, Dr. Maramba, Professor Okesina, for their time in preparation and in making sure that all has worked well. And also would want to thank Sonia and the team at Empower for making sure that we have undergone this discussion without many hitches. Thank you very much. And I would also want to thank the collaboration, the University of Zimbabwe Department of Laboratory Diagnostic and Investigative Sciences, the Cape Peninsula University of Technology Department of Biomedical Sciences, Stellenbosch University Division of Chemical Pathology, the African Federation of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine, and last but not least, the Empower School of Health for hosting and also spreading the word about the webinars and collaborating with us in this important issue of improving lab profession in Africa and beyond. So without taking much of your time, thank you very much. I look forward to interacting with you on the 29th of April. Watch out for the flyer. It should be out to end of today or early tomorrow so that you can register. Pass the word. These webinars are meant to strengthen the laboratory capacity in Africa and beyond. So let's use them. When we are able to come on live, let's join live and participate. If we can't be part of the live session, we'll always share with you the recorded sessions. Thank you very much. Let's have a good day and let's enjoy the Medical Laboratory Professional Week. Thank you very much.